this is Julissa. Thank you so much, everybody, for coming back to my channel. Thank you to everybody who's listening right now in the podcast. It is Thursday, August 14, 2025. I had to come here and make this episode regarding the little boy who had his nail painted pink at a daycare, okay? Before I continue, thank you to everybody who's listening using Spotify. Do not forget to follow the podcast on Spotify, excuse me. That really helps me as a creator if you follow Julissadesigns podcast on Spotify. And also everybody who is listening right now, excuse me, I just noticed something wasn't great. And everybody who's listening right now using Apple Podcasts, don't forget to do the same there. You can rate the podcast. And the people who are getting this podcast through Pandora, hi everybody, I see you. Thank you so much for the thumbs up on the podcast. Leave a comment too. I'm not even sure if Pandora can let you do that, but really appreciate it. I'm sure I'll get a notification if you leave a comment on Pandora. And of course, thank you so much to everybody who's watching this video right now on YouTube. Don't forget to share, like, and subscribe, right? So there's a viral video going on the internet right now of a grandmother confronting the owner of a daycare over the phone and the workers in person because a three-year-old boy came home with his nails painted pink. So a lot of things wrong here, right? I'm not gonna tell you the name of the daycare. I'm not gonna tell you. I don't even know what state it is happening to. And this is not a bashing of the daycare, but it's more like an awareness that situations like this can happen. It's completely like it goes completely against everything. That's something that you don't do. You not touch. You don't do things when you're taking care of somebody. Obviously, it could be an elder person or a child. You don't do that, right, without asking for permission, right? I understand that in summertime there's a lot of teenagers that get hired, especially for daycares, camp, and things like this. And because the hiring process could be a little rushed, there are things that are taking away from the training, or they just they do it so fast. I mean, people say, oh, it's so easy to take care of kids, just put them like to play something and you do activities with them. But it is completely wrong to paint the nails of a child without asking for permission. And people can look at that and be like, that doesn't matter. I mean, they're just playing around. Guys, something like this it's traumatizing. Believe it or not, it's traumatizing, because here's the thing, especially at that age, right? You kids at that age, they look at everything, they absorb, they learn, they're in their learning stages, right? And they they notice things, right? And if they notice that every time, like one time they were at a daycare, right? And they got their nails painted pink, and everybody was like, oh my goodness, look at you look so cute, and things like that. That seed is already planted in that child, okay? And this is not even talking about religious preference of people, right? Some people, they could also be an allergic reaction to something, right? Something like that you never do without asking for permission, because you're disrespecting the wishes of the parents, right? You were given this child to take care of them. It's not for you to influence. And I'm telling you, it happens so often. There are things that are done that perhaps the child doesn't remember it they are much older, and they're like, wait a second, I remember one day I was at a school play and they made me wear a dress. A boy might say that. And this is what I'm saying. I understand that not a lot of people are going to receive it until they get a revelation what it is that I'm speaking about, because when you say, that's what I say, sometimes you get into your older, you realize what was happening to you. It's planting a seed, right? Making a boy wear a dress at a school play is planting a seed, because look at them years after and you see what happened, right? If there's no kind of like renewing of the mind, right? And if they even believe in that, right? So you seek after that once you have a revelation who God is, right? And I don't want to get too deep into that about this incident that happened in the daycare. But all I'm saying is that people need to be so careful, especially taking care of children. Just because, just because they say to you, no, I want to do my mom, and kids at that age, they tell you everything. My mom always had children in the house. She was a babysitter, and you kind of see like their behavior. If they say to you, do your mom lets you eat this type of, let's just say, potato chips? Oh yeah, because they're gonna tell you that because that's what they want in the moment. They would have said, your mom is gonna get angry if I paint your nails pink. Oh no, she doesn't mind, right? The kids don't know. You don't ask the child, right? I'm not saying this happened in the daycare. I'm not saying that they haven't mentioned anything like that, but they were saying that the child was very excited, right? And obviously, because you see all your classmates having their nails painted, of course you're gonna want the same. And I do apologize, the battery is running out here, but that's the thing. You have to be so careful. And I think the daycare, right, they said they're gonna reprimand the employee, and she should call the parents to apologize. But painting a child's nail is a time-consuming task, right? And if you're telling me that this employee completely went against the rules, like, how long was she with these children, right? And nail polish, you can smell that, right? Especially if you're in the same area, you can smell that, and you can be like, wait a second, what are you doing with the kids over there? How come there was no supervisor checking on that, right? And not only that, the issue that I have with this video that's going around with once the grandmother confronts the owner of the daycare, and she's calling them, and they turn out to be very upset with her. That is the worst thing that you want to do. When somebody say, I have a complaint because that what you guys did was completely disrespectful and is totally against everything that we believe in. I mean, the damage has already been done, right, basically. And instead of being apologetic in the let me hear her out, let me let her finish, the grandmother gets interrupted. The daycare owner seems very upset because she's saying, they went back to the daycare and they're yelling at the staff and things like that. Man, like, you should have a different way to handle something like that, right? And understand where they're coming from. Especially as a business owner, right? So, and then I just saw a video too of them speaking about how everything basically happened, saying, that the children were excited to get the nails painted and things like this. But once again, like, can you like avoid that at all? Like, come on, why don't you just do the regular plays and like don't because painting somebody's nails is altering their appearance, right? It's a daycare. That shouldn't happen unless it's like they call it like a beauty day, but it should be catered to like just the girls, right? Or be asked before with permission of the parents, a written consent, right? It's the same thing with taking photos, right? They always showing the kids, taking their photos in the daycare. Like, there has to be, in my opinion, there has to be more regulations when it comes to something like this. I mean, it's just, I feel for the family that had to go through something like that, to pick up the little boy and look at their nails and be painted pink, right? And then when they call to make a complaint, a formal complaint, when they go back and make a formal complaint, the owners and the staff seem a little like annoyed that they are receiving all this anger from the grandma. Like, are you serious? Right? Like, it's just crazy. Let me read to you guys. I'm running out of batteries. I do apologize about that, but let me read to you guys what some people are saying. Somebody said, because not a lot of people will understand this, right? Somebody said, if my little boy comes with his nails painted, I wouldn't care as long as he was happy with them. And then another person said, no daycare has consent to do anything to a child's body other than diaper changes. The grandma is right, and I do agree with that. The family is 100% correct to to complain about it. Like, are you serious? You don't do that, right? It is so dangerous. It's just like that. It's like so quick like that. That the seed it gets planted. And somebody said, why is it so hard to just leave the kids alone, right? And then somebody said, I work at a daycare, and I generally would never heard of an activity that requires kids to paint their nails. The closest thing is being finger painting. And is there something new am I missing? Somebody says. And somebody also said, what if the child had an allergic reaction to the nail polish? That's another concern, right? Everything that's altering the body, like cutting their hair, right? Or like even changing their clothes because they spill juice all over them or something. Like, that's something like, okay, when mom comes back to pick up the child, the parents come back, make sure you tell her that we have to use a different shirt because they got messy when lunchtime came around or something, right? Even something so simple as that is like, oh, thank you for not letting my kid running around through the whole day with a shirt that's all dirty. Thank you for doing something about it, right? Even something like that, you get a notification, like you notify the parents, right? Painting the nails, are you serious? Without even checking with them first. Obviously, the owner of the daycare is saying, oh, we know that that the employee is from, and we know. She's like, I would be upset if that happened to my child too. Yes, but there's a way, if you understand that 100%, there's a way that you handle a complaint from a family member that's saying, what have you guys done to my grandson, right? There's a way to handle things, right? Especially when you know that you employee, meaning you, because you are the owner, so you're basically the representation of everybody who works there, right? Basically, when you know it was done incorrectly, it was breaking the rules, there's a way to handle a complaint. And now it's almost like they're coming out doing another video, kind of like defending themselves and saying, we're gonna reprimand the employees. Like, take ownership as a leader, as the owner of the daycare, basically, right? So and somebody says, yeah, I have a little girl, and I would be annoyed too if someone painted my little girl's nail. One, because maybe I wanted to paint her nails myself, and because I didn't give consent, and I wouldn't want something like that at all. Let's see. Let me see another comment. I do apologize. That's unacceptable. No daycare has the right whatsoever to alter a child's appearance, right? I think they're doing something innocent. If they think they were doing something innocent, it isn't their child. And another person said, if grandma doesn't have custody, she doesn't get a say. Did they ask the parents beforehand? Well, obviously that's the whole point. That's another thing. Before I finish, that's another thing that they mentioned. They're saying, their grandma is not on the list, and she came and complained about it, and she was kind of like loud and things like this. I like, maybe she wasn't on the permission list and things like this, but she complained. I'm sure she spoke with the parents before she even went there, right? I'm sure it wasn't like her just trying to do her own thing. I'm sure she communicated that. So let me know, guys, what you think about this. Thank you so much, everybody, for coming to the channel. Thank you for listening to the podcast. Have a good day, everybody. God bless. everybody, this is Julissa. Thank you so much for coming to the YouTube channel. Don't forget to share, like, and subscribe, and I hope to see you in the next video. Have a good day, everybody. God bless.